We came into spring training having a pretty good idea of who would be in the A's rotation. Now it's anybody's game. We're going over the A's rotation after 1 week of camp today on Locked On A's. How's it going, A's fans? And welcome to episode 539 of the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, noted baseball fan Jason Burke, and on today's show, Ken Waldichuk's been struggling a little bit. I'm going to make the case for why he might not be a member of the A's rotation on opening day. It's going to be a fluid rotation. That's what David Force said over the weekend, but he might not be there on opening day, so let's go over why, one, and then two, who's actually next in line now after a couple of starts. Everybody, except for Fuji, who's going to be in the rotation, has had a couple of starts, so Who's doing okay right now? Let's talk about those guys. But before we get into anything, thank you so much for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. If you are on YouTube currently, subscribe. That'd be very nice. We are trying to get to 1,000 subs by opening day. Opening day is only 3 weeks away, and we are like 100 subs away. So mash that subscribe button, you guys. Also, leave us a thumbs up or a like and comment down below. Let me know who you think will be in the A's rotation, either now, before you listen to the episode, or after the episode. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way whenever A's news happens. It's at Inside the A's or si.com/MLB/athletics. Okay, so let's talk about what's happened so far with the projected 5 that I had in my rotation so far this spring. So first up, we got James Kaprielian. He has not made a start yet, but he should be coming. He should be coming along soon. I believe it was on Thursday. He threw to live batters. He threw to Ramon Laureano, Manny Pena, and others, a slew of others, let's say. And it looked like he was doing good. David Force said, Mark Kotsay said that he should be along the same lines as Paul Blackburn. Paul Blackburn made a start on Sunday. Didn't go well, but he made a start. And so we should be, I would assume, expecting James Kaprielian to be making his spring debut before too long. Whether or not he can be ramped up in time for opening day, that is a different question. But he should be in games soon, and he's got roughly 3 weeks to get ready. Is that enough? We'll find out later in spring. But right now, he's still in the rotation, and then we're hoping that he's still healthy. Paul Blackburn, he made a start on Sunday, and it did not go well. Oh, man, did it not go well. He went 1 inning, gave up 5 hits, 6 runs, walked 2, struck out 1, and had 2 wild pitches. Not a great outing from the guy who might be the opening day starter. Not a great spring debut, let's say that. He told MLB.com that he was trying to throw more changeups to right-handed hitters. That is a thing that he wants to do more of. I think he threw 1 of 43 or 46. I've seen both written, one in the Chronicle, 1 at MLB.com. He's threw either 43 or 46 pitches, and only one of those, I believe, was a curveball, and that was a very effective pitch for him. So he was trying to do something else besides throwing his effective pitch. He was trying to, work on some stuff like, hey, let's see if this works, because he feels pretty comfortable about where he's sitting right now as a guy with a lot of experience. Compared to the other guys around him, he still has like 200 innings in the big leagues. But that's way more experience than a lot of the guys that are vying for rotation spots. So he's tinkering right now. He feels good about his spots, and that's something new for him. He doesn't have to go out and try to excel. He's gonna just try to figure out some stuff, and maybe he'll have a trick or two when spring training starts. Then we got Shintaro Fujinami. His second start is going to be on Tuesday. I hope that's televised. I have not looked it up, but that should be fun. I like watching Shintaro Fujinami pitch, especially if it's like the first inning that he threw. The second inning was still cool because he didn't allow anything, but the first inning was dominant. So far in all of spring, he's had 1 start. He went 2 innings, gave up a hit, 3 walks, struck out 3. The first inning, he gave up the hit. It was a hit off of him, literally off of his person. And that's how he gave up a hit. And then he got out of that inning just fine. And he also showed off his splitter, which is 91-92, and it just dives out of the zone. That thing is nasty. That splitter is amazing. Did I say slider the first time? I meant splitter. That's my bad. And then in the second inning, he walked the bases loaded to start the inning. And then he got out of it. He also had he had an interaction with Scott Emerson, the A's pitching coach, a mound visit, as they like to call it in the biz. And then he struck out the next batter looking, and then induced a double play to get out of the inning unscathed. So I liked what I saw. You saw the good and the bad. He was literally as advertised, as we talked about last week. So that's. Oh, and then we got Drew Racinski. Still getting used to that. Drew Racinski. He has gone 5 innings pitched, given up 10 hits, which is a lot of hits. That's a 2 whip right there without any walks. He's given up 6 earned runs, walked 1, struck out 6. He struck out 5 batters in his second start, so that was good. He wanted to miss more bats. He got more strikeouts. That is good. He's still getting used to it, I think. He's still trying to figure out what works stateside, because he's spent the last 4 years playing in the KBO. And in his first start, he had to figure out pitch comm, and that was his first time ever using it. So he walked a batter because they couldn't get on the same page. There was a pitch clock violation. So he's still getting used to some of those things. And then also the other stuff, the pitch comm and also the pitch clock. So he's still getting used to that stuff. He's seeing if his stuff plays as well stateside, and like what works, what doesn't work. He's tinkering right now. So the results, whatever. Drew Racinski, I think he's going to be fine. He's also going to be in the A's rotation because he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal with a team option for 2024. So they're not cutting him. I'll tell you that. And I mean, he could end up in the bullpen, but they're not cutting him. He's going to be on this team, you guys. So I think that with what he did last year in the last 4 seasons with the KBO, pitching or starting 30 games at least 30 games in each of the last 4 seasons, that's something that you probably want, that consistency in your rotation, because the A's they got a lot of guys, a lot of question marks, a lot of talent, a lot of question marks. Drew Racinski, if he's doing okay, if he's a league average pitcher, like I feel like they're projecting him to be as a replacement for Cole Irvin, I feel like he'd be good in the rotation. So just let him see how the first month goes. As a starter at the major league level, we'll go from there. But the big question mark right now in my mind is Ken Waldichuk. Like Ken Waldichuk, he's the A's number 2 prospect on a bunch of lists right now in their system. MLB.com, number 2 prospect. Fangraphs, number 2 prospect. Those are the only 2 that I really have looked at and cared about. So number 2 prospect in the A system, Ken Waldichuk. And they also both projected him to be like a mid-rotation starter. So he's good. But so far this spring, not great. 2 2/3 innings in 2 starts. 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 Ks. And you could look at the stat line and be like, oh, he's given up 5 hits and 5 runs, and that's not great. No, he's also walked 4 his command. But the thing for me is he's not getting deep into these games. He's just using all of the pitches too early. His first start, 1 inning, when you're supposed to go like 1, or probably 2 more if you can, but 2 is roughly like the allotted pitch count. He went 1. Didn't even like get into the second inning. He just used all of his pitches in the first inning. Done. Then he went 1 2/3 in his next one, and we saw guys like Adam Oller go 3 2/3. He went 2 innings less than that because of pitch count, and that's the thing that worries me is the pitch. He's not being effective with his pitches. He's not being economical with his pitches, and that's worrisome because if he has a bad outing at the beginning of camp or at the beginning of the season, that's gonna destroy your bullpen for days. For days. You can't allow that. That's what worries me. And he's not like out of the running by any means, but I'm gonna need to see him do a little bit better, just getting deeper into games. Results be damned. I don't care. He's still working on his slider. He's still doing stuff. He's trying to command that slider because he's trying to add velocity to that slider. But I need to see him get a little bit deeper into games. That's what I want to see from Ken Waldichuk. And if he goes like 4 innings the next time out, he's back on board. He's back in my rotation. But right now, he's a big question mark in my projected rotation. And I think that he could be a big question mark in the A's front office's projected rotation right now as well. They're talking about maybe going with a 6-man rotation. I don't know that Ken Waldichuk is one of those 6 guys at this point because, he could be. I don't know. But we could discuss a 6-man rotation on another show. But the gist of my take is that's why J.P. Sears is in my bullpen, is because he can go 4 or 5 innings if you need him to. That's a spot start right there. He can eat up 3 innings out of the bullpen in relief. He could be that bridge guy that you need. And having JP Sears there, a starter for all intents and purposes, just as a solid guy right there to get you one time through the lineup. I like having him in the bullpen. So, and then you go with the other 5. And you have a 5-man rotation with JP Sears around just to do things and be good at stuff. Then you have a lot less movement up and down and all that stuff. But coming up on the show, we're going to be talking about some dark horse candidates to take this spot that could very well be open. That just could be left wide open by Ken Waldichuk's inability to get 3 innings and 2 starts so far. So we're going to talk about 2 guys that could be dark horse candidates for that spot coming up in just a second. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all of the fat and the calories? Then you gotta try Built Bar. And what makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they are covered in 100% chocolate, and that is a real chocolate. And it doesn't get better than having 100% real chocolate. That's step 1. Step 2, they also have unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. And I don't know how they do it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And you don't have to wait around to get a box anymore. If you're going to spring training, all you got to do, you don't got to go to built.com and wait around and you don't got to plan ahead. No. If you're going to spring training, just hit up a Walgreens or a Walmart or a Sam's Club on the way to A's camp. And you can just go walk in and get a box over there. That's right. You can head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. Or if you're more close to a Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way whenever A's news happens. It's at Inside the A's or si.com/MLB/athletics. Just go follow Inside the A's on Twitter. It's just much easier to see articles over there than typing out that entire monstrosity of a URL. But let's talk about some of the A's candidates, the dark horse candidates for the rotation right now. And the guy that, initially struck me off the bat, Freddie Tarnok. He's probably not going to make it. That's why he's a dark horse. He might not make it. He is projected by a lot of the prospect people as a future bullpen arm, and he'd be a great bullpen arm. He throws some gas. He's mid-90s with his heater. He's got some swing and miss. I like him as a pitcher overall. So far this spring, he has gone. He's also a right-handed pitcher. He's 24 years old. He was acquired as part of the Sean Murphy deal. Just other things you need to know. Sometimes I forget that, I know everything, but not everybody that I'm talking to does. So I need to bring you guys along with me every now and then. So he's a 24-year-old right-handed pitcher that was acquired in the Sean Murphy deal, Freddie Tarnok. And so let's talk about Freddie Tarnok a little bit. This spring, he has thrown 5 innings, given up 4 hits, allowed 1 run. He's given up 2 walks, struck out 3. He is an extreme fly ball pitcher this spring. And just a fly ball pitcher in general in his time in the minor leagues. He's just been a fly ball guy. And maybe that could play very well at the Coliseum. I could see that playing very well at the Coliseum with all that foul ground. He's had some pop-ups and stuff like that. I could see it doing okay. And 5 innings pitched. He's given me the length that I'm not seeing from Ken Waldichuk. This is a guy that might be a bullpen piece. He's given me almost double the innings that Ken Waldichuk has. So, yeah, I think that he's decent right there. Sure, he's only got 3 strikeouts, but he's only walked 2. So that's also good. He's given up 4 hits. His whip's just over 1. I like it. Mid-90s fastball, as I said before. Good changeup, slider, and a curve that are also very nice. He's got a 4-pitch mix. He could do it, I think. He's got 2/3 of an inning in the big leagues, and those were shutout innings. So he's got a 0 career ERA with the Atlanta Braves. So he could be good. I liked what I saw from him in his first outing. His second outing was fine, but that first outing, he let the first 2 guys on base. It was a walk and a single. I forget in which order, and then he retired the next 6 just in a row. And so that was impressive. And he really put himself on the map with that with that. I guess he came in after JP Sears, I believe, in the A's first spring training game. But then he also had a good 3 innings in his next start, or in his next outing. So I'm intrigued by Freddie Tarnok. Next guy up, Adam Oller. And this is the guy that we saw him pitch in the big leagues last year. And longtime listeners of the podcast will remember the moment that, I've liked Adam Oller since the A's got him in the Chris Bassett trade. I said that I see a lot of Chris Bassett in this guy. He might not have the best stuff, but he seems to have that bulldog mentality. And it took all season for it to come out, but in a start against the Miami Marlins at the end of August, I believe, because then he was hurt for most of September. So I think that makes sense. In August, he had 0 command, but the bullpen was gassed. They could not do anything. He threw over 100 pitches, went through 6 innings, gave up only 3 runs, kept the A's in that game. I don't think they won that game, but he gave the A's length when they needed it, even though he could not locate anything. I didn't look it up, but it felt like that was a season high in pitches. So great job out of Adam Oller in that start. And then in his next start, he went 8 innings, scoreless innings against the Yankees, and most of those were no-hit innings as well. So yeah, he turned a corner, and then he got hurt a little bit, but he's been working on some of his mental health and also just like his mechanical approach as well over the offseason. And he feels like he could be a different pitcher right now than we saw last year. So forget what you saw, except for the good things, last year. Most of what you saw last year. Just remember from that Miami start on, and 2 of those were one right before he got hurt, and then he missed 4 weeks. Then he came back and made a 1-inning start, which was a planned 1-inning start, and got the loss in that game. But those are like the actual last two times you saw him. But the last 2 times you saw him when he was healthy, he was fantastic. So I'm intrigued by Adam Oller moving forward here. He also has the most innings out of any Ace starting rotation candidate right now with 5 2/3. He's given up 6 hits, 2 runs, walked 2, struck out 7. I like the strikeouts. Gotta say, I like the strikeouts. It feels like, with the new slider grip, maybe he's just turning that page. He's found the new gear, and I'm intrigued by Adam Oller again in 2023. I like him. I gotta say, I like him. He reminds me of Chris Bassett, and if you like Chris Bassett, he pitched to contact. That's what he did a lot, but he gave up really bad contact, and that's why he was so effective, and that's why he was so good for the A's. You knew that he was going to give you 6 innings, give up 3 or fewer runs. It's a quality start, but it's still like roughly a league average pitcher. But he could be better than that as well. He could give up 1 or 0 or 2 or whatever, but he wasn't going to have like a big blow up start. So that's what I think we need to get away from with Adam Oller. He had like a 6 ERA last year, but if he can get away from those blow up starts, I think that he could be a very effective pitcher for the Oakland A's in 2023. He could be my favorite right now of the guys with the stats and all the stuff. He's given you length. He's been with the team before, so he knows kind of what it's about. He has some experience at the big league level. Adam Oller could be the guy that actually seals this thing up. He's definitely the dark horse guy that would seal this up. But there's another favorite that we have not talked about yet. We're going to talk about here in just 1 second. Today's episode is also brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. All you got to do is just add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts, especially on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs. If you're on YouTube and you've made it this far, just hit sub. Forget about it, but just hit something. No, don't forget about it. Set the notifications. Do that one. Don't forget about it. Set the notifications. That's a much better idea. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way. Whatever A's news happens, it's at Inside the A's, si.com/MLB/athletics. I was like, did I do that right? I think I did. That was not meant for dramatic pause. I thought that I messed up the URL to the website that I have. Oops. Anyways, let's talk about the front runner potentially. If Waldichuk is not there, then there was a co-front runner with Ken Waldichuk, and we got Kyle Muller coming up to bat. And then there's also one other guy who is interesting, but we'll see. I'm more tepid on him currently. So let's start off with Kyle Muller. He's another piece of the Sean Murphy trade. You're going to hear that a lot. This guy was acquired from this trade, and blah, blah. That's how the A's got a lot, basically their entire starting rotation. Not necessarily anymore. It was true for a while that all of their pitchers were acquired via trade, and now they've actually signed a couple of free agents. So it hits less, but whatever. He's 25 years old. He's 6'7". He's a lefty. So there's that. He has thrown 4 2/3 innings pitched, given up 7 hits, 4 runs. Only 3 of those were earned. Walked 2, struck out 4. He entered camp as a front runner with Ken Waldichuk. I would assume that this isn't like the best line, but he's given you a little bit of length. Obviously, the 7 hits are a little bit worrisome, but he's a guy that needs to figure it out at the big league level. And if he's giving you innings, sure, that sounds great. But as long as he doesn't need to be bailed out by the bullpen, then he's probably in a better spot, I would say, than Ken Waldichuk. He went 2 scoreless innings in his first start. In his second start, he went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs, only 3 of those were earned, walked 1, and he didn't strike anybody out, which is a little scary. I mean, not like scary, but you'd like to see a strikeout from a guy like that. But he's probably still the front runner if Ken Waldichuk is in fact not in the running anymore. But again, Ken Waldichuk is in the running. I'm just saying. I think that Kyle Muller might actually be the front runner for a 5th spot currently. There's still debate on whether or not the A's are going with a 6-man rotation, or if they're just going to use JP Sears out of the bullpen whenever they need him to for like a 6th starter kind of guy, or if James Caprillion is going to be ready to start the season. So there's still a lot of other things going on that the A's need to figure out. But if we're going with 5 guys, and the 4 of them are spoken for in Cap and Blackburn and Rucinski and Fuji, that's the question that we're dealing with right now. The other stuff's going to figure it out in a couple of weeks. But as of right now, I would say Kyle Muller is probably the A's 5th starter. Probably. So there's that. Adam Oller's looked good, though. I know that some people don't like him as much, but he's looked good. He's given up bad contact. Oh, I had a note. I didn't even read this. We're going back to Adam Oller. 1 sec. He's an extreme ground ball pitcher this spring. There we go. I just got worked up about loving Adam Oller. Forgot to read some of the stuff. Extreme ground ball pitcher. That's going to play anywhere. You know, the A's, they've had some guys who have benefited from the Coliseum. Ground ball pitchers, they benefit everywhere. Doesn't matter. They'll be fine wherever you throw them. I like that. He's worked on the mental approach, said that. I had a note. I didn't write it down. He's gotten like 7 ground ball outs and like 1 in the air, and he's also struck out 7. So that's impressive. He's a very heavy ground ball pitcher right now, Adam Oller, that is. So yay. Adam Oller, very intrigued. Moving on to our last candidate here, and that is Adrian Martinez, and he was acquired in the Sean Murphy trade, along with Yuribel Angeles, who could be starting in Lansing again this season, but he's got some upside. He's great contact bat. I believe he's not on the 40-man roster, but he is Rule 5 eligible, but he had just been playing in Lansing, so they just left him unprotected. Nobody took him. So anyways, that's Yuribel Angeles. We're talking about Adrian Martinez over here. So far, he's gone 2 innings in each of his starts. He's gone 4 innings total, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs. None of those were earned, so he's got a 0 ERA, which is not bad. He has 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. In his first outing, he went 2 innings pitched, gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, struck out a batter. In his second outing, he went 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts. Basically, there was back-to-back errors. One of those was a throwing error on himself. So none of the runs counted in the bottom of the 4th inning, I believe, is the one that he pitched. And he also threw a wild pitch. So they scored some runs, and it was kind of sort of his fault, but errors don't make it that way, so whatever. So it's 0 ERA, an 0-1 run record, but, he's doing okay. Adrian Martinez, I'm intrigued. I said it, late last year. He has a lot of movement on his pitches, and it seems as though he has been correcting. There was an article a couple weeks ago in the Chronicle, I believe, where he was going off towards the first base side in his post delivery. And he's cleaned that up so that he can tunnel his pitches better. And so they're not all just leaving like one over here and one over here, one over there and one over there. He's tunneling them better. And so I think that could actually lead to a good season from him. And I don't know if this is a bad thing or the A's have said, or David Forrest has said that it's not going to impact anybody, but he is going to be playing for Team Mexico. So he's not going to be in A's camp. And so that could be, they don't have eyes on him. They don't know what's going to happen. But he is going to be pitching against some of the best players in baseball in the world. Like some of the best players that do this. And so if he goes out there and he just like really balls out, that could go really well for him. If he's just striking out like Correa and Machado. I don't know who's on any of these teams. I fall in love. I know who's on, like which A's players are going. But I could see that playing well for him. But unless he's like having like an outstanding run with Team Mexico, I could see it kind of hurting him a little bit, but he probably wasn't going to be in contention necessarily anyway. So Adrian Martinez, I don't think that he's necessarily in the rotation mix just yet, but I could see him being a candidate down the line because I am intrigued as to how his delivery is going to work out for him this season. So that's the A's rotation in a nutshell, in a tight 30, as they say in the biz. But that's all that I got for you guys today. Tomorrow, I don't know. I might talk about there was a bunch of stories over the weekend. I knew it was going to happen because it was big league weekend in Vegas. And I tweeted out a photo of the A's losing 12-0 to the Cincinnati Reds at the bottom of the 7th. They scored later in that inning, so it was a good thing that I did that. And I was like, the people of Vegas are clamoring for more A's baseball, and I thought that was really funny. But there is stories that came out, and I don't know how genuine they were. There was a lot. I might break them down because obviously they didn't make me feel good about the A's staying in Oakland, which is what I would like. But there was a lot of like vagueness in a lot of the statements, like Vegas officials saying, yeah, I believe that baseball could work in Vegas. They didn't say the A's, and that has been my thing. I think that baseball could do very well in Vegas, but I don't think that the Oakland A's would do well in Vegas because they already have 122. They got a bunch of years of history, and it's over a century, and they need their own franchise from the ground up. I think that's what expansion, that's the word. They need their own expansion franchise in order for them to have success in Las Vegas, I think, personally. But what do I know? I don't run the D as the guy. I've been to the D. One of the guys that was quoted is one of the managers of the D. And if you've been to Vegas, the D is an interesting. My grandma, I believe, has like a mug or a shirt from the D. She didn't know what it was about, but I thought it was really funny. And I was like, go ahead, Grandma. You get the D. But yeah, good establishment. I don't know how well he knows baseball. So we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about the A's top prospects being dropped on MLB Pipeline and seeing who rose, who fell. But those are a couple of topics for later on this week. So make sure to subscribe to the podcast, you guys. But anyways, thank you so much for making Locked On A's your first listen. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Anyways, that's all that I got for you guys today. Check out more things later this week, such as Las Vegas news that's not necessarily news, or prospect stuff. It'll be fun. Yeah, that's what we got coming up for you guys. So that's all that I got for you guys today. Until next time, go out and celebrate good times, A's fans, and I will talk with you tomorrow.